Egor saw the men coming in, so he turned the TV off. That drew Andrew's attention and he put his book down. Vuk took a seat in the green armchair, while Oliver sat across him in the other chair. Well guys, I have news. The girl that gave Andrew his tattoo was spotted in Hungary. Vuk started. Egor's eyes darkened. She was spotted with 2 men and 3 women, one of them being the vampire Egor got information from. Vuk said. The room fell silent. Egor was staring at his hands. His mind was flooded with questions as to why was Paisley in Hungary? Why was she there with vampires? What happens now? That girl killed a human in the vampire club, I'm sure of it. But why? Oliver said, deep in thought. I'll tell you why. An unfamiliar voice spoke up. They all turned towards Vuk, and there in his lap, the one and only Paisley was sitting elegantly. The reason I killed my dear Riven was for revenge, and if I may add, it was quite pleasurable. Paisley was smiling at them seductively. Her hair was placed in a neat bun on top of her head. There was a black bow framing it. She wore a snow-white dress that reached mid-thigh. She wore the same heels as the first time she visited the Underworld. Her eyes were framed with a heavy set of eyeliner and black lashes, and her full lips were the color of red wine. She looked at Andrew with a wicked smile forming on her soft face. I see you're awake, she said. What do you want here, bitch? Bogdan snarled at her. My, you're calling me a bitch when you're being controlled by one? Paisley raised her eyebrows. What do you mean? Bogdan asked. Your little mate isn't your mate. The siren whore is just using you to get to Egor. Paisley fake pouted at Bogdan. How did you get in? Oliver asked her. He was fairly calm about this, like every normal person does. Through the door. Did you come for me, mistress? Andrew asked. Mistress? The 3 men in the room yelled. Vuk was quiet and just watched the situation unfold. That's right. And I came to tell your friend that his girlfriend wants to fuck Egor. Paisley said, playing with Vuk's shirt. By the way, Egor, when were you planning on telling me that you were a dog? Her full attention turned towards the long-haired boy. He couldn't answer her, and Paisley sighed. She'd expected this, but she hadn't expected the next thing he would do. Why, Paisley, why did you become like this? The boy was desperate. What happened to the cheerful girl that would make my day just by smiling or giving me one of her emotion-filled hugs? Where's the girl that always felt so alone and broken that she would always call me, and we'd eat sweets till we had the urge to hurl? Where's the Paisley that'd say aloha to strangers and run around the streets with Den and sing metal songs? What happened to the girl I fell in love with? Egor was now letting his tears surface. Paisley gripped Vuk's shirt as she heard Egor's words. He loved her. The feelings she had for him were mutual, but they just had to come at a difficult time as this one. Paisley's eyes became a cold shade of brown. Now she was really mad at Egor. He was avoiding her question and made her feel guilty for a second. Do you really want to know what happened to her? She asked in a low voice. Her tone was dangerous and made everyone go silent. Paisley slowly rose from Vuk's lap and stood in the center of the room, facing each of them. She slowly felt an annoying itch on her head, but chose to ignore it. Mina had warned her that her horns would start growing soon, and soon they did. Paisley felt hot and pleasured as 2 red horns started growing out, making Egor gasp. Your little Paisley died and became a monster. Chapter 16. The werewolves in the room were silently watching Paisley's horns disappear. Paisley looked over at Andrew with a smile. Get up and pack your bags. You're coming with me. Andrew went to his room with a quick nod. I don't understand why you kept this a secret from me, and right now, I really don't care. I don't have time for this shit. I need to hurry and find my next target before it's too late. Paisley glared at Egor. Vuk stood up and stepped in front of Paisley. He kneeled in front of her. I'd never expected you to be a werewolf. I thought you were just insane and messing with me. Paisley giggled at the man. Well, now you know for sure that I wasn't lying. Vuk said, smiling up at the girl. Wait a minute, you 2 know each other? Oliver asked. That's right, Alpha. I know Paisley since she was in diapers. I've been taking care of her ever since, but of course I had to go to university and leave her here. Next thing I know, she became a really badass demon. Vuk smirked. Paisley crouched down and gave him a kiss on the cheek. She stood up and pulled Vuk in a standing position. She then looked at Bogdan and smiled at him. You said that I don't have a mate. What did you mean by that? He asked. Paisley rolled her eyes and sighed. Seriously? Diana is a siren who once wanted to steal a very precious ruby stone from the devil. She was caught and exiled. She was supposed to be my guardian, but the devil changed that because she would have killed me. Why? Because Egor did not submit to her, and instead became my friend. Listen, dog boy, Diana only wanted revenge on Egor. She never loved you, and used her siren song to make you think you were mates and that she loved you. Bogdan slumped down back into his seat. He was staring at the wall in front of him absent-mindedly. Paisley looked over at Vuk, who just shrugged. Andrew came in with a suitcase and a travel bag. Paisley nodded and went towards him. Well, we had a nice chat, boys, but I have to go now, she said. Wait. Oh. Bogdan stood up. Paisley turned around to see him taking his shirt off. She raised her eyebrows. He threw his shirt to the side and walked over to her. Please make me like Andrew. Please, he yelled. And why would I? Because I'll help you take care of the siren. Paisley looked him in the eyes. Seeing the golden color they produced made her smirk. All right, but let me make a proposition to Alpha Oliver. Oliver's head shoot up to look at the small girl. What kind? I want to take Andrew away, and right now Bogdan is tempting me to take him as well, but I know that won't happen so easily. So what would you say if your little pack became my hounds? Oliver's eyes widened. The idea of becoming a demon servant terrified him, but then again, he could make use of it. What's the catch? He asked. I give you power and protection for your services and loyalty towards me. Vuk took off his shirt. You know I'll follow you anywhere, Kennedy. Paisley looked at the man who she knew for the last 15 years and considered family. A few years ago, he told her he was a werewolf, and she considered it a joke, but right now, she was believing in this joke. Paisley smiled slightly and traced her index finger over his abdomen. Vuk felt aroused and hot. The small brunette laid him down on the couch so he could sleep it off. She gave him a kiss on the lips, closing the deal. She turned to Bogdan and did the same. But this time, Bogdan was laying in the armchair. Oliver was next. He sighed and took his shirt off. Paisley traced her fingers, making Oliver blush madly. She kissed him, and he fell to the floor. She turned to Egor, who was watching her silently. She took his shirt off and slowly drew on his skin. Egor gulped when Paisley looked up at him. He crouched down, and Paisley placed her full lips on his. Egor felt electricity shoot through him as Paisley's hot lips softly lingered on his. She pulled back and let Egor softly fall back into the green armchair where Vuk was sitting just minutes before. She grabbed his chin and made him look at her. I once had feelings for you, but now I only feel betrayal. And with those words, she left with Andrew close behind. Paisley. Paisley. The girl awoke inside Lucifer's bedroom. She was laying next to the beautiful, pale man. He was watching her with very soft red eyes. Sif. Lucifer. She smiled at him. His hand caressed her soft cheek. Paisley closed her eyes and gave in to his warm touch. You went to that werewolf boy again? Lucifer asked. Don't worry, I don't like him anymore. Paisley opened her eyes and smiled at him. I just made him my pet. Lucifer raised his eyebrow. Pet? Paisley giggled and snuggled closer to the man next to her. She had just noticed that she was covered by plush violet blankets along with Lucifer. Lucifer was caught off guard by the small girl's action, but let it pass. He liked it. I made him and his pack of dogs my servants, she said. Lucifer relaxed and pulled the girl closer, if that was even possible. Paisley, he called her. The girl looked up at him through her lashes. Can you promise me something? Paisley looked up at him confused. She nodded for him to continue. Don't look at any other man with passion and lust, but me. Said? Paisley's eyes grew wide. Was this a love confession or a warning? She felt a weird feeling forming in the pit of her stomach. Something was telling her that the feeling was because of Lucifer. She looked up at him. His red eyes were lustful, like a lion's ready to go after his prey. Paisley felt her cheeks burn up. Will you promise me? His face came closer to hers. Paisley just nodded meekly, not finding her words. Lucifer gave her a half smile. He leaned in and placed his burning lips on hers. A fire was ignited between the two. Paisley's body felt good and she kissed back, loving the feeling of his lips on hers. His hand slipped down her thigh, gently caressing it and leaving a trail of burning lust behind. Paisley felt good. She felt so right in that moment. Lucifer's hand went higher up and Paisley's eyes snapped open. She panicked when his hand came closer to her most secret area on her body. Lucifer stopped the moment he felt her fear. He gently caressed her cheek and moved his hand away. He placed a soft kiss on her forehead. Paisley remembered Diana's words from some time ago. She looked up at Lucifer. She couldn't believe that this man would make her his bitch. He was a kind person in the girl's eyes. Funny, right? How can a demon ever be kind? Paisley decided to ask this demon if what she heard was true. If she really was his bride-to-be. Chapter 17, Lucifer. His eyes shined when Paisley said his name. What is it, my sweet Paisley? He caressed her soft cheek with his thumb. Is it true? What is true? That I'm your bride? Lucifer's thumb stopped moving and his eyes snapped to hers. Who told you that? He asked. Paisley felt anger in his voice. His eyes weren't so soft anymore. They were filled with rage. She feared what he might do, but nevertheless, she decided to find out the truth. But for that, she had to say it as well. Doesn't matter who told me. Just answer my question. Paisley gulped as Lucifer stood up abruptly. He walked over to the window and sighed. Yes, it's true. I decided to make you my bride. Paisley's eyes widened and her breathing became faster. She could feel her heartbeat in her throat. It was burning a passion in her body that grew with every movement of the man before her. Why? He turned towards her, his eyes lost of anger. They were soft. The red mixed with the black suddenly made Paisley awestruck. Isn't it obvious? I have fallen in love with you the moment you accepted my proposal. I felt a feeling that was a very distant one. I haven't felt it since I was in heaven. That's the reason you have similar powers to mine, Lucifer said. He sat down on the bed next to her and slowly laid her down in his lap. I don't expect you to take this in all today. Think about it a bit more, and when you're ready, give me your answer. But just so you know, I'll even accept a no. Paisley's eyes closed as she drifted off to sleep. Lucifer was humming her a tune that reminded her that even if she was a monster, there would be a person to love her. Standing in front of the mirror, Paisley adjusted her coat as she was ready to leave. She zipped it up and left to the cold outside. She was greeted by an annoyed Andrew and giddy Vuk. Are we seriously going all out? I mean, come on, Paisley, it's the girl's damn birthday. Andrew whined. And? You do understand that that's Paisley's way of gifting pure happiness to people, right? Luca chuckled. He emerged from the front door of the house. He swiftly opened the big gates and let the three out. It's such a shame that the rest couldn't make it, Vuka said. They all got into Luca's Jeep and he started the engine. Paisley looked out the window and sighed. The plan was simple. Use her magic to make an illusion in which Eugene will experience hell and most likely die. But why are we even going there? Andrew whined more. Because I enjoy her hysterical reaction that she makes when she sees me. Paisley smiled innocently. Luca made a turn in a parking lot of a grand restaurant and the four piled out the car. Paisley frowned at the sight. It was the most expensive restaurant in the city, and then people called her Little Miss Rich Bitch. For fuck's sake, the girl is turning 14, not 18, Vuk commented. For my 14th birthday, Dad took us to the beach and treated us to ice cream, Andrew added. Paisley shrugged and went for the entrance, followed by the boys. As soon as they entered, Mina waved them to a big table where the rest of their friends were seated. Lucas saw Eugene watching them, and he nudged Paisley, making the girl stop and look at the far left. At the table, Faith and Eugene were gaping like fishes, as Luca took Paisley's coat of like a real gentleman. Paisley was wearing a dark blue cocktail dress with black heels and a single red rose decorating her beautiful brown locks. She waved merrily at the people who were seated at the table. She then proceeded to take a seat next to Oliver and order some wine. They've been whispering about you for quite the while now. They think you are responsible for Stefan's and Riven's disappearance, Bogdan said. Well, they're not wrong, Paisley thanked the waiter who brought her her drink. She took a glance at Eugene, who was glaring like a murderer at her. Paisley smirked. Poor child, if she only knew this would be her last meal. Oliver sighed. Are you feeling sorry for her? Mina asked, glancing at him. Yes, no child should die because of someone's revenge. Violet's eyes blazed red and glared at Oliver. He gulped and felt like hell was engulfing him in. It's fire. You have no right to say that. When you get killed by a child, you'll understand my ways. Her attention was gained by Eugene's nagging voice as to why is she even in the same room with her. Paisley saw the perfect opportunity to set the gears in motion. Eugene started getting lost in the conversation she was having with one of the girls at the table, and only saw Paisley. The people around her started becoming blurry until they turned pitch black. The room started spinning, and Paisley stood up from her seat. She casually walked over to Eugene and smiled. "I hope you had fun, little girl, because this is the last time you will experience it." Paisley fake pouted and caught Eugene's small neck in her hand. "Now be a good girl and tell me, where is Charlotte?" "Huh, in your dreams, bitch." Eugene choked out, "Wrong answer." Paisley put more pressure on the blonde girl's neck. She choked under the pressure, and soon Paisley crushed her neck, spilling blood all over herself and the black, vast ocean. She pushed Eugene to fall into it and never be found again. Her soul joined the screaming and agonizing souls which made up the 7th level of hell. As the illusion subdued, Paisley saw that Eugene's body numbly fell to the floor, missing its soul. Faith went white as a sheet as she looked up at Paisley. Her eyes conveyed a message Faith was too afraid to see. "You're next." Paisley, the redhead, ran away. Vuka said, "Don't worry, she didn't ran away. Come on, we're going to get her." Cheesies. All 3 black cars pulled up at the gates of the cemetery. "That redhead lives at the graveyard?" Andrew asked. "That's right, and you can see she's here, alone." Paisley smiled. The 11 demons stood in front of the gates and looked at each other. They all nodded and pulled up the various black hoods and masks they had. They jumped over the gates, and Luca broke the front door of Faith's house down. As they entered the living room, the window was wide open, and Oliver heard Faith's short gasps as she ran. Paisley turned to the group and let out a long, exasperated sigh. Let the hunt for the redhead begin. Chapter 18. The redhead was panting heavily as she ran across the street into the second part of the cemetery. The hounds ran after the girls, shifting into their animal forms. Paisley was watching from the distance with Luca by her side. "What are you planning on doing?" Luca asked. Paisley started walking towards the other side with Luca closely tailing her. Mina, Masha, and Svetlana were making sure the redhead didn't go too far, while Vlad stayed in the house. "I'll make her biggest nightmare come alive." As they walked, Paisley spotted an empty spot in the ground. She smirked and turned towards Luca. "I'll go get the shovels." Luca sighed and went to look for a shovel. Jod. Egor blocked her way, Oliver yelled. The 5 wolves were jumping and tackling tombstones like professional football players. Faith ran towards the exit, but Svetlana's fangs scared her to a stop. She quickly ran in the other direction as she evaded Andrew's claws. The only thing running through her mind was why in hell's name was she being hunted? And what are these people? Faith saw the small house in which her father worked. Her father was the keeper of the cemetery. His job was to sell candles and make sure nobody stole or vandalized the tombstones. Faith ran in there, locking herself inside. She fumbled through her jean pocket, getting her phone. The phone dropped on the floor as she tried to dial someone for help. In that moment, everything became quiet. She couldn't hear the heavy breathing of the wolves, nor the hissing of the vampires. Faith broke out into a cold sweat. She felt as if she was in one of those horror movies Paisley loved. Ironically, Paisley always wanted to scare someone like this. She missed her friend, but there was no going back now. She decided to ignore and hate Paisley for the benefit of staying friends with Eugene and Charlotte. But slowly, she began to see that Paisley was a much better friend than those two put together. She's inside that house. I know, should we wait for Paisley's orders or what? Plus, God, I feel like we're inside the story of Little Red Riding Hood. You and me both. Will you stop lollygagging and get the girl out already? Gee, sorry, Miss Bloodsucker. ALL of you, stop goofing off and get me out that house now. Paisley's voice echoed through their minds. She was getting irritated with their constant whining and bickering. Andrew rolled his eyes, having enough of this hide-and-seek game. He went closer to the door and heard Faith's breathing increase. He heard her curse under her breath and decided to break the door down. Andrew broke the door with ease, making Faith gasp and scream. The girl ran past him, earning a wound in her arm. The 4 hounds outside jumped on the girl, but she was quick to take them down. Faith was an ultimate fighter, but an inexperienced one. She never fought in a real fight till now. Faith started running back to her house, but but every exit she tried, she'd be stopped by either Mina, Masha, or Svetlana. She was running out of places to hide and exits to check. She stopped to catch her breath, but as she turned to run, Paisley smacked her in the head with the shovel she was holding. Faith fell down backwards into the hole that Luca and Paisley dug up just a few minutes ago. "Do you seriously hit her with a shovel?" Vuk laughed as he sat in his boxers next to Paisley. "Yup," Paisley nodded. But the hounds were all sitting around Paisley on the ground in their boxers. Faith was still lying unconscious in the hole. Luca and the rest went to buy food and drinks. "I still can't believe it, G," Egor said. "I considered you to be a good person." "Yeah, well, I considered you to be the love of my life, but you turned out to be a lying douche." Everybody went silent and the girl hugged her knees. She placed her head atop of her knees and looked down at the unconscious redhead in the hole. Memories of the fun times she had with both her and Charlotte came back. She missed those days when they'd randomly laugh at somebody or ogle at some random dude's ass. But now, only hate grew between them, and Paisley could only think and see the way they have changed. Charlotte felt in danger as Paisley's popularity grew thanks to Egor and her own actions. People started noticing her as she grew older. Sure, she wasn't the prettiest girl on the planet, but she sure wasn't the ugliest. Wherever they went, Charlotte would be pushed aside as Paisley came into the picture. And it did not help that she got a boyfriend before her. So Charlotte decided to cut all ties with Paisley, who she was friends with for over 13 years now. She pulled Faith and Eugene, with her making them become mortal enemies and leading them to help her commit a murder. But nobody expected Paisley to come back from the dead. Paisley felt something cold on her cheek. She looked up to see Luca holding a Coca-Cola can to her cheek with a smile. "Drink, you worked hard digging that hole up." Paisley sighed and took the can. She opened it and tilted her head back, enjoying the cold in her throat. "We are laughing and drinking at a graveyard, with an unconscious girl in a makeshift grave," Mina said. "Bigger psychopaths were never found and never shall be." Paisley yelled and fist-pumped the air. This night was going to be long and tiring. 2. As Faith opened her eyes slowly and saw 11 figures above her. She started panicking, but couldn't move for some reason. Vampires have the ability to paralyze a person if they choose not to drink their blood. She heard an all-too-familiar voice above her. She squinted her eyes to see Paisley sitting on the ground and dangling her feet on the edge of the hole. "How does it feel to not be able to move?" "What do you want, slut?" "I see Eugene's beautiful language and behavior has taken its toll on you." Paisley sighed. "I just want to know, where is Charlotte? That's all." "You seriously think I'll tell you? Well, you either tell me and die fast, or I torture you, and you tell me, but die in pain and misery." "Why do you want to know where she is?" "I mean, come on, like I'd tell you." "Faith, you murdered me. I have the right for revenge, no? Or should I just let it go and live with a nice scar across my abdomen?" Paisley's eyes turned red. Her demon form was threatening to take over for the first time since she made the deal with Lucifer. Faith gulped at the sight of the once calm Paisley becoming cold as ice. She went to Sweden instead of Austria. She already started school and is fitting in quit. "I don't give a shit what she's doing or how she is. I just needed the information of her whereabouts." Paisley abruptly stood up and winced. Her horns teared through her skin and itched to come out. She walked over to the shovel and picked it up. With a snap of her fingers, Faith was laying in a casket with the top open. "Thank you for the cooperation." "It was nice knowing you, Faith. See you in hell." Paisley closed the casket's top as Faith started to scream. She was now filling up the hole with the help of Luca and Vlad. Faith's screams were still heard, but Paisley muffled them with shaking her soul and making her weak. With another snap of Paisley's fingers, a most astonishing tombstone appeared with a Latin script carved into it in bold lettering. "Hque inibi peccans damnatorum pascentur ut, in septimo circulo inferni anima perpetuam, etiam ut inferno." The translation to the text will be only known to those who are well educated in Latin or the occult. "For here lies the sinful and the damned. May her soul forever suffer in the seventh circle of the netherworld, also known as hell." Chapter 19. What the actual fuck?